Hey guys, Ash with Jetpack here. Thanks Anna for having me. Appreciate it. I plan on speaking a little bit about challenges of running a big business. I think it applies to small businesses as well as big businesses. I think it helps for me to talk about it, and I hope that you guys learn a little bit about our business, at the same time can apply some of the tools that we've used to overcome some of these challenges. That's the big point that I want to kind of hit forward, is that these challenges have come, and I think they're still here, so they never really go away. It's just how you deal with them. So I'll give you my perspective on some of the big challenges that we've faced and we're facing. And then from there, some of the tools and opportunities that we approached on how to deal with them. And hopefully that would help you guys. So with that being said, a little bit about us. We are a manufacturer of nutraceutical products and skincare products. So that ranges from oils, liquids, capsules, powders in the dietary supplement space. On skincare, we have a wide range of different products that we offer. And with that service, we also do distribution in our fulfillment house. We have about 150,000 square feet currently across 3 different sites. And one of the unique things about Jetpack is that the pay-on-demand model, whereas the marketer will sell the product, fulfill the product, customer would receive it, and then you would pay us after the transaction is already complete. It gives an opportunity for a lot more cash flow for the marketer, and in turn, you can pay higher CPAs, and in turn, obviously, higher volume, which is always good. So starting out, that was our model. And a little bit of background about the company is I have 2 business partners, my brother being one of them, Rafat, and Fred, high school friend of both of ours, started this business. And the way we started was my partners had a marketing company, and they were marketing a cognitive product at the time, just on a small scale. And then when it started growing, they approached me after, and I was 8 months out of law school at the time, so I was just practicing law and I was starting my career. And they said, hey, we would like you to run the manufacturing and fulfillment side of things. And I agreed. I was excited. It looked cool. It was new. I had no experience about any of this stuff, so I just jumped in and began the learning process. So we started out really, really small. The learning process took a couple years. Basically, that for me, it was my first challenge of, you don't know what you don't know. So R&D and continuous improvement is how I labeled this first challenge. And this never stops. It never stopped for us. It never will. It's, there's no end point to research and learning. So one of the tools we've always used is, I have a couple mentors that every month we meet up, we talk about things, and it really helps to communicate kind of some of the problems going on, some of the good things going on, and then just back and forth. That back and forth, for me, it helps with people with experience. So there's no, I can't really put a value on experience. When you have it, it's very, very valuable. So I like to keep a strong, close-knit group of people with that wisdom around me. So I would advise, basically the same for every business, is whatever niche you're in, is being close to people who've already been there, done it, and you learn so much from them within an hour, versus you could research something for a month and not learn as much as you can from an hour of speaking to somebody who's actually been there and done that. So the business strategy development. So developing a full business plan was not something, I don't think it's something that comes, it's not intuitive. It's really, really important. I really struggled with it. And you have to have a vision. You have to have that mission statement. At least that's my opinion in order to develop that strategy. The first thing is, what do you want to do? What's your vision? So if you don't have a clear vision, it's really, really hard to develop that strategy on how to kind of reach that end goal. So we spent a lot of money investing in ourselves, investing on education, invested on looking at things differently in terms of getting new machines. And each year we just kept a lot of money in the business and building ourselves. Value engineering is a key aspect of that. So every process that we put in place, we review it at a certain time, look at it in detail, look to see what else is out there. And if there's a way to improve it, that's what we do. At this point, with our growth, we have a dedicated person within each department that looks at those things, and that's their job. They just research and look at certain points in the process and say, okay, we can do this better. And they do analysis on the data to see, okay, if we put this in place, it'll do a lot better. And I think that equates to advertisers in a way where you're testing a lot of different sales funnels and different buttons and different even offers, seeing what works, what doesn't work. So our book of what doesn't work is, way larger than any book of our achievements or successes. Our failures really dictate on which direction we go more so. So, not that it needs to be said, but the failures are something that, I think should be welcomed because it does teach you. So that was the first 2 years of our company's life, was basically just failing at certain processes, learning, and then coming back up. At that time, we only had pretty much the one client. We had a couple more coming on board, starting off very, very small. After 17, it really began us attracting and gaining traction, gaining clients, and us having to face the outside world. So before we were facing the inside world, we weren't really too hard on ourselves because we were servicing ourselves. But when you have other clients who they're dependent on you, that's when we felt the, not burden, but the responsibility that we owed towards the clients. And that is a big challenge. So marketing and networking and getting these partnerships, and then you're dependent. They're dependent on you. You're dependent on them. It's a great relationship if it all works out. So for us, it started off with the challenge of how are we going to even attract people to us? We're a small business. We're a small company. We don't even have 10 people. Going to the events like Affiliate Summit and Traffic and Conversions. There's a few other ones, masterminds, and actually meeting advertisers, hearing from them, just listening, hearing what they have to say, what qualities that they're looking for, what really would help their business. So after learning that, we tailored ourselves based off of that. We took the good in and tried to provide that. So we tried to hit a wide variety of different entities in different industries, retailers, wholesalers, private label companies, everybody, to see who would we work with the best, because we didn't know at the time, and so we tried. Again, going back to the testing, that's how we really found out who we were going to become, and that vision became more clear as we started to do this. So that was 2017 and 18 was more so us building a client base, understanding the industry a little bit better, who's out there, and what types of companies are going to be attracted to us. which it turned out really well that there were a lot of businesses who were in need of those services, and we started getting traction. So after gaining traction in a business, it's all exciting, but it's a lot of work. And it gets really, really overwhelming. So team building is that next challenge. And technically, it could come before any of that. If you have a good team and you're prepared, you're in way better shape than at the point in time where you're overwhelmed and now you have to build a team. So unfortunately for us, we got overwhelmed and now it was time to build a team. So for me, it was looking at people who balanced me out in a way where I have certain strengths, but I have certain weaknesses. I need to get people that balance me. I took a personality test. I listened to people that I work with, my partners, and we kind of talked about kind of what kind of a team do we need at this stage. And director of ops was the position we decided that we need. Somebody more operationally inclined with experience of operating a large company. So after that position was fulfilled, which took 6 months, it really, really opened the doors for Jetpack to do a lot of things. It opened the doors for me personally to have more freedom with my time. So it helped out tremendously. And that was the internal team building, is starting at the top, somebody that, you can delegate authority to, make decisions. So, the business owner doesn't have to make every decision, and the business owner can focus on the big picture, growing the business, which is the most important thing. The external team building, which that's kind of how I described it, is more the business relationships and business partnerships, whether it's with your affiliates, agencies, payment processing companies, whatever. That is in a way a part of your team, and it's really, really important to have a strong partner in each of those categories that I named, because you're going to rely on them as for your business in some sort of way. So if one falls, you have to have I would advise you have a contingency plan, but B, it's really vetting the companies that you work with to make sure that the people that are a part of them, you understand and know them personally. You know their character. You know that they're going to be there for you. And they're, more importantly too, is the business infrastructure of the partner able to handle your vision and your growth. So you never want to be somebody's biggest client. That is one position you never want to be in. They say that with accountants. They say that with a few different fields, and I think it applies here too. You want to go with a company that it has a proven track record that you can trust. So with that being said, I think that's a core component in building a team. It's external and internal, bringing experts, and then in terms of timing when you're doing that, obviously looking at your cash flow, looking at the growth of the business, when to bring certain people in. So really important. That was, for us, it was 2018. That's kind of when we really took a strong approach. We invested a lot of money in our team, and as a result, like I said, more time for me personally to have freedom and also to focus on the bigger picture and not on the daily fires that happen in any business, little glitches here or there. I could leave the team to handle that while I'm handling still keeping on my schedule and keeping on my focus of, hey, we're trying to grow, a business. So that's really important. Challenge number 4, the planning and forecasting element of any business is really, really tough. Having somebody operationally inclined helps the planning and forecasting. So again, if you don't have a strength in that, I would advise getting somebody with that kind of a mindset. Our company, in terms of the dietary supplement space, we plan and forecast accordingly without the client having to, which makes it nice for them. So that's where we step in and basically communicate to the client on the marketing strategy and evaluate based off of historical data, what should we be expecting the next 3 months, and we build accordingly for the products and fulfillment services as well. Certain stuff you can't forecast, you can't plan, you have to adapt, which is a huge challenge for everybody. COVID really struck us in a good and bad way. Good because e-commerce went crazy sky high. So more volume, more sales, more products out the door. That was great. The negative was you had a lot of shortages in supply chain. You had delays in shipping, whether it's supplies coming in or whether it's shipments going out to end user, the end customer. And everybody felt it, I think, in some way. And you have to adapt. You have to, there's no planning. Nobody planned for COVID. So you just adapt. You put in some strategies that work with that challenge, and you move on. So that's kind of what everybody did, it looked like. And hopefully that doesn't come up again. That was really rare instance, but I think you have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible enough to be able to handle unforeseen circumstances. So again, just another challenge that we're all facing. So when it comes to companies that are in the Nutra or skincare or any physical product space, the advice from me would be choosing a product that's highly available. And if it's not, just making sure your supply chain is super strong to where your marketing is in line with your inventory. So the worst case you could be in is when your marketing is doing super, super well and you run out of product. That sucks. So plan accordingly. And that is a challenge. It's not as easy as I just kind of claimed it to be. So challenge number 5, cash flow. Everybody wants more cash flow. It helps pretty much anything in a business when you have cash. You can invest in yourself. You can do a lot of R&D. You can do a lot of new business development things. You can expand horizontally, vertically, what have you. The challenge, it becomes challenging because as you grow and as you build a team, you're paying out more. And it doesn't necessarily coincide with the revenue that you're taking in that day. Certain things we've put in place or certain things that I've heard about or seen in other companies is one big strategy is just your payment terms with your vendors, with your suppliers, anybody that you pay out. It's how to attack payment terms. So payment terms in terms of, can I use a credit card? That should be the first question. And so that you can get points back. The payment, the actual, like, when do I have to pay? Always negotiating the long, 30 days out, 45 days out, if possible. A lot of companies can't. But if you can, if there is leverage, this is where you really will see that cash flow. And I think it's important for any partnership that you're paying somebody out is to explore every possible option of what payment terms that you can negotiate. And that would help you retain more cash to, again, market, bring up the sales, and you can do a lot more with your cash. So budgeting is very tough, and if it's not something that I don't think is necessary, but for new projects, I believe it absolutely is. So anything outside of your core business that you want to invest money in, I believe in a strong budgeting. And it's basically that requires you to do a lot of research into the items that need to be purchased and the whole business development strategy before you even say, okay, yeah, I want to do a new project. So looking at it from, again, going from the R&D level to the budgeting level to even decide on, okay, do I even have the cash flow necessary to jump? Some of the things I've seen, not necessarily in this industry, but in others, is when people dilute themselves, they start trying to take on 8 different things, and then their money gets spread too thin, and then they can't even focus on their core operation. Something I've seen and I've been advised against, so just wanted to share that with you guys. The other challenge that this is, I think, the last challenge that I'll talk about is more so on the business development and growing the actual business itself. So for us, this is where we're at right now. After you do the legwork and you put in the research and you put in the education and you put in the marketing strategy and everything is starting to go good, right? Volume is coming. What do you do with it? Well, for every company it's different. Some of the things we've looked at is our software that we're using, our hardware that we're using, and we ask, is it scalable? So right now we're looking not for just next year, we're looking for the next 10 years on what is going to be scalable. Introducing a new ERP program that it's an enterprise system that encompasses everything. That'll be something that'll take us for the next 10 plus years. So for your business, it's asking that question, the CRM, the shopping cart you're working with, will it survive the next 5-10 years of your guys' growth? And if it won't, I would think now is the time to kind of investigate and say, okay, well, maybe do I want to get into something else right now that will grow with me? The capacity issue is not so much, physical capacity issue is not so much important maybe for e-commerce businesses, but for fulfillment houses, manufacturers, supply chain companies, it's very important. So for us, we moved multiple times and now it's not really moving. It's just you have to get more space and understanding that now you have to be a multi-facility company. That was one thing that was a challenge for us because operationally, very, very different working in 3 different places rather than one roof. And you have to plan accordingly and make certain decisions to operate as efficient as you can. So with looking at when things are going well, I think the challenge is what you want to do at that point is start collecting a lot of data. So whatever data collection software you're using, make sure, again, just my advice is make sure that it's getting the useful data that you can actually evaluate and start making better decisions to improve on your business. And if you're not getting certain data points very easily, hopefully it's easy for you to collect this data, I should maybe shop around to see what you can use to easier collect your data, and then tools maybe that can collect more data. Those are the 2 things for software that would help, I believe, making better decisions and growing and developing your business. The last thing I'll end with is really a business life, home life balance that as you're growing, it's, for me, and this is just my personal opinion, it's important to have. I hope you guys all share that. At the same time, working hard is just something that I think entrepreneurs just embedded in them. So I work all the time. I work from home. I work at the office. And I think that's just another challenge to find out what is that good balance. At that one, I can't really say I have good advice. It's just, I think over years, you find out what that balance is. So everything happens in stages. When we first started off, I worked way more than I ever did now. But at the same time, I'm paying a lot of people now to do jobs I used to do. So I think it just comes in time. I think when you're starting off, growing a business, when it's really, really early on, it is very stressful. There is a lot of time dedicated. But if everything goes well, it does pay off because you can then build a team to where you're not working as much and you can relax a little bit. So with that being said, those are the challenges that I've faced and I'm facing. I hope it's helped you guys out, and I hope this was interesting to you, and thank you for having me.